Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the official Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms live stream. My name is Dylan, and that is Alexis's shoulder beside me. We have a couple cool things planned for today. Obviously, I'm coming to you from the wonderful streaming closet at Codename Entertainment in Victoria, BC, Canada, and we will be debuting the official reveal of the latest champion for Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms. But first, we want to thank the Dungeons & Dragons team for being the best partners ever, but also for graciously allowing us this wonderful time slot on the official D&D Twitch channel every week. This is a pretty cool place filled with cool people doing cool things and a cool audience, so we feel cool for being here. So, just to get things rolling so that Alexis can get back to work, this is Alexis, and this is the official reveal for Deacon Scalesinger. Probably want to plug your mic over, actually.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the game audio down while this is going so that there's not two different layers of music.
But that's always really fun.
Oh, totally. It's totally fun. So, before we get into it, obviously we didn't start with the sketch this time, so maybe you could talk a bit about the process and what happens when you're an artist who has to do these kinds of things all the time.
Forgetting to start videoing when you do the sketch, you mean? Yeah, we don't videotape every single thing we draw, so sometimes it just, well, this time it slipped my mind. Oops. Which is too bad because that was probably one of the more interesting parts of the whole drawing.
So, I guess the thing that makes this one different from past event champions, well, just in general champions, is that this is the first time, well, technically the second time, but the first time we are adapting a character for 5e who is not already a part of 5e officially, but is also coming from an older game with very different concept art than what we normally get. Yeah,
so in older Deacon he looked kind of like a small lizard, which is how kobolds used to look, and now they're quite a bit different than they used to be. So the challenge for this one was to kind of bring Deacon to life, staying true to his original character, but still having him fall within today's version of kobolds.
So what are the biggest differences between the kobolds of Neverwinter Nights and the ones that are now a part of 5e Idle Champions?
Definitely the head, because old kobold, small lizard face, all scales and stuff, and current kobold scales too, but sort of I don't know, kind of has more of a canine look almost, at least I think so. So a longer snout and an actual little nose instead of just nostrils, and yeah. And I did end up having to change my version of his spiky scales on the back of his head by the end of this because it looked a little too furry.
Oh, yeah.
He was an actual puppy dog or something.
Yeah, I think that was one of the bits of feedback we got on the call with Wizards was they're he looks a little bit too scruffy.
Yeah, soft.
Yeah, he just looks like you want to tickle his nose,
yeah,
hey, who's a good boy? You're a good boy, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So I think this is also the first time I've seen that there's, while you're doing your sketch, rather than having Hitch off to the left, you have one of the kobold enemies, looks like.
Yeah, so obviously the best sort of in-game reference to use is a creature of the same sort of species. So I pulled in the kobold monster that Michelle drew, and I was just trying to do something that looked like they belonged together, but also looked a bit friendlier than the monsters that you're trying to kill all the time.
Okay.
Yeah, so he's got a bit more of a smile and less of a
So going into this, because you had the sketch that was just taking a kobold shape and kind of just doing your best to add all the elements, is it much more difficult to try and incorporate elements to this character? Because thinking back to Neverwinter Nights, I haven't played it in a really long time, but I remember the poly count back then was a little lower than it is now.
Yeah.
So what kind of details carried over and what changed?
Well, the coloring carried over, so the gray skin and sort of the reddish eyes. He wasn't actually wearing that much clothing in the older models, so we took a piece of concept art, we being Kat and myself, and she pulled the loot design and from that, I think, yeah. And I pulled sort of the ribbing around his tunic
Okay.
Because I think he's just wearing like a really plain shirt or something.
Yeah.
I think I had the model up beside the drawing, so you might be able to see it if I zoom out enough.
I think there's one or two shots where that happens. What's this? Sorry, I was reading what people were saying because I don't have the questions thing open like I'm supposed to. If anybody has any questions for Alexis about either Deacon or about being one of the senior artists at Code Team Entertainment or anything related, art related, feel free to send them our way and we will get to them. So I don't know. I guess because you got to do a Tabaxi.
Yes.
And you got to do our first Kobold.
Yes.
And you did both Strix and Evelyn.
Yes.
Is there are you happy that there's a variety in them, or are you is there something you're looking forward to, as an artist, what aspect of this fulfills you in different ways as you draw them?
Well, I'm pretty excited whenever I get to do a champion because they have personality and they all look incredibly different, and I tend to spend a bit more time doing them than I do spending drawing a crate for a background or something, just because they're going to be front and center in the game if people choose to use them a lot, so you want them to look really nice and polished. So so I enjoy being able to slow down a little bit and just really try to get it right. And yeah, I don't know, I just whenever I could draw a different type of thing, that's always really fun too. So
okay.
Yeah.
Now I can't help but notice that this one looks like it's in black and white right now.
Yeah.
Are you adapting Adam's style of drawing a champion in black and white and then coloring them?
I think I've actually done most of the ones I've done that way, except for Caddy Bray, because I was like, ooh, red hair. And started with the red right away.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's kind of useful because I can concentrate on the line work a little bit more.
Yeah, you're just less distracted by...
And also for this one, my sketch was pretty clean because we wanted to send it off to Wizards of the Coast right away before I got too deep into it, since it was adapting an older character into something quite different.
Yeah.
So my sketch was really clean. So a lot of this, I'm just actually grabbing my sketch and cleaning that up because...
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
I wanted to make it sort of legible to people looking at it. So it wasn't this is just a bunch of scribbles.
Okay. I can't remember. Did we send this to Beamdog or anybody as well? We must have included them in the process somewhere.
Maybe.
I'm trying to remember. That probably would have been Clive though, not you. We have a few art related questions. Jason Hawk wants to know if you find it harder to adapt a character with such non-human features. Like a kobold is even further away than a tabaxi. Were you tempted to make Deacon more human?
So yeah, it's definitely harder to do a non-human than a human because we look at people all day long. But no, I wasn't tempted to make him look more human because there's really good kobold concept artwork. So I had something, quite detailed to base him off of in that respect. So and we kind of like to stick pretty close to our concept art that we use.
Yeah.
Or the Wizards concept art.
Okay. I don't know how to pronounce that name, but they want to know if you use a Wacom art tablet or a mouse and keyboard or...
Yeah, we use the Wacom or Wacom, or however you like to say it, tablets here with the monitors.
Okay. And you're drawing all of this in Illustrator, looks like?
Yes.
Okay. Justin Spluter. Do you have an ETA for when the event starts? I could say that it's starting soon with a TM trademark beside it. It'll start soon. Okay. Which character so far has taken you the longest to draw from start to finish due to degree of difficulty? So not including Wizards updates or anything like that.
Well, I think the one that took me the longest to draw was Strix, actually, because she's got all those tiny little details throughout her costume. So it wasn't, I'd say they're probably about the same difficulty-wise. But yeah, she just had so many little things on her outfit, and that Holly had
owlbear feathers and trinkets.
Yeah, really detailed out. So it was a lot of going in and adding just little objects and things.
Okay. Let's see. As an artist working on a computer game, how much of a gamer are you outside work? And does it even matter at all from an artistic viewpoint if you work on a game or anything else?
I played a lot of games when I was in school, and so that probably really contributed to me wanting to work at a game company. And then I kind of had a bit of a break, but I've been playing like a lot of Dungeons and Dragons over the past year, surprisingly.
Surprise!
And then I just picked up a Switch, so the past week it's just been me attached to Breath of the Wild. So
you and everybody else.
Yeah, it's so good though. But
Yeah.
after like not having a console for such a long time, I'm like so awkward in battle. I'm just like looking at the ground, looking at the sky.
Yeah, I've only played a Switch a little bit at a friend's place. He's like, let's play Mario Kart. I'm okay, and I'm like playing with the controller, and I'm like, I hate this controller. I hate it so much. And I'm trying to think of when the previous Nintendo console I used was. Probably like a GameCube or something. And it just felt weird. Like the controllers are so tiny.
Yeah. And I'm just not very coordinated with both my hands. Just one. But as for how it matters from an artistic viewpoint, it's really good to have like knowledge of what's out there, so you get exposed to different styles and different mediums like 3D or 2D, and I think you can learn a lot from looking at things and playing things. So
Okay.
yeah, and of course if you love games, then that's always a bonus when you're working in games too.
Do you have go-to companies, artists, or developers that you look for inspiration for art?
Not at the moment. Yeah, I think when I was a bit younger, I really looked at a lot of Double Fine stuff. Just loved
Oh, yeah.
games, yeah.
Yeah. Double Fine. Were they here? Are they in Victoria?
No,
I could have sworn they were in Victoria.
no, I think they're in the States somewhere. Yeah.
Maybe they are. I thought for sure they were here, but I could be wrong. Eric will probably know. Cool. So I guess the other thing is that, like, because I mean, every character that gets drawn for this game is going to be wearing some kind of fantasy, medieval, Renaissance-y attire. Like, do you just have a wardrobe in your brain that you use to dress them, or is there something somewhere that you go to look for that kind of inspiration?
Google image search.
Google image search.
Yeah, but like I was saying earlier, we took his little tunic from a piece of concept art. It's it's sort of like he's playing his thing, and it's sort of orange candlelight glow, and
Okay.
yeah, and then kind of looked at other medieval stuff to kind of fill out the rest that you couldn't see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Then also looking at like the other character concept art and throughout the books helps as well.
Okay. Adam and Clive in chat corrected us. Double Fine is in San Francisco. Double Jump is in Victoria. So that's why I was confused. Cool. So tell me about animating a crossbow, because it looks quite a bit different, I think, than a lot of our weapons, where somebody's just holding the sword and they come in.
Yeah.
And he's got to pull it up in kind of a different angle. Is it harder to animate quickly, or?
This one wasn't too bad. I guess I managed to draw it in the right angle this time, so I didn't have to go back in and sort of fix it so it looked like he was like not shooting off to the side. But yeah, the hardest thing with arrow stuff is also animating the pull arrow and then insert and then up.
Yeah. Huh.
But I've never shot a crossbow before, so that's always interesting too, like drawing something that you're completely unfamiliar with.
Yeah, those heavy ones have a little brace in the front, because you put it down on the ground and you
Yeah.
pull the thing up and then you put the bolt in. So certainly with the way that our game is drawn and animated, some of those kinds of animations would be a little bit more challenging. Do you find that restricting when you're putting these together, like that you're also doing the layout and the design with that animation in mind?
Well, when I do the design with the animation in mind, it makes the animation a lot easier, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes I draw it and then animate later and end up drawing a lot of extra forearms and hands and things, so yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a good thing to have an idea of how they're going to be moving. Like if I drew the crossbow completely like on its side, then I would have to do like a rotation of it, which we don't want to do. That'd take forever.
Yeah, you'd have to do however many frames difference, I guess. Okay. Giant Dwarf says that they like your little quill and scroll on his belt.
Thanks. Yeah, I pulled that from one of Kat's items. And actually, like the crossbow, you can see there's a finished version of the side. That's Kat's drawings. And so what we've done before is she does for Zorbu. Is it Zorbu or Zorbal?
Zorbu. Yeah.
Zorbu.
Zorbos are like the little
Yeah.
feral monkey monster things.
Yeah, he was named that for a little while before it's like,
Yeah.
oh yeah.
That was an oops.
Yeah. So she designed his crossbow, and then I took her design and pulled it into the character. And so same thing happened with this one.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's really great at equipment design, so it works out
Good
well.
timing. It's doing the quill right now
Yeah.
in the video. Phonics48 wants to know if you feel proud when one of your characters becomes meta and is used by everybody, as opposed to a character that sits on the bench and isn't seen.
Yeah, it's always nicer to see the characters out there being used.
Okay, this is a good one. Agscold. Any tips for a designer struggling to translate line work via tablet?
So like, so trying to get like nice lines using a tablet. One of the nice things about Illustrator is you can really zoom in and like spend a lot of time like adjusting the lines to get perfect. So it's a lot harder in Photoshop when you're just going like over and over trying to get the correct line like on the first go. So that's one of the reasons I really like Illustrator, because you can like really fine tune. And of course this video is sped up super fast, but if you're just watching me draw, it'd be super boring because I'm just like adjust the anchor point, the anchor point, delete anchor point, add anchor point.
Yeah, it looks like there's a classic Neverwinter Nights reference image just to the right. Mostly off frame, but pops up every now and then.
Yeah.
Okay. I know I think I asked you this last time, and I definitely asked Adam this, but like when you're choosing the colors, are you eyeballing it based off of concept art, or are you just kind of picking it based on how you think it should look?
A little bit of both. Sometimes I'll color pick from the concept art, but then I will change the color once it's like in the character, because to make it more saturated.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the concept art has its own like specific lighting in it, whether it's from like a fire or like glowy magic or
some kind of weird sepia tone, because that's what that artist liked.
Yeah, and so kind of you sort of have to change it so that it looks unlit, I guess, in a way, like what the actual color would be without all those special effects on it. And also our game is pretty colorful, so you kind of want to amp up the saturation.
Okay. And so that color palette, that's something that was developed by like you and Adam and the rest of the team in the lead up to the game, or has it changed gradually over the course?
Yeah, Adam developed the color palette in the lead up to the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Because I remember we released one of the brushes that he uses. We gave it to a user who had asked for it, but like that was created for the game, for doing the art.
I think it was kind of created for the company, like the cartoon brush. I think we've been using it since I started here.
Oh wow, okay. I didn't realize it was that old. I thought it might have been game specific.
There might have been some adjustments over time, but yeah.
Cool.
It's the codename cartoon brush, well, Adam's cartoon brush.
Yeah. Fangirl Fridays wants to know if we're going to sing the Doom song. No, we're not. God, I can't remember. Like, I guess the weirdest thing for me, thinking about games like Neverwinter Nights or even like the Baldur's Gate series, is like they're not recent games anymore. I know the enhanced editions are coming out, which is sweet, so that more players can get a chance to play them. But like when I think about my memories of playing those games. Like I played Baldur's Gate like 20 years ago. I don't remember what happens in that game. I vaguely remember that if you make Minsk mad, he might hit you. But that's about it.
Yep.
So, yeah, here we are starting over.
Yep.
Okay. So, Focht 2. That's an interesting tongue twister. That I realized as I was saying it. I'm like, if I say that too fast. Have any of the characters sort of originated from the art department? Like, oh, I really want to draw character X. Oh, hey, look at this cool random art I drew. We should make a character. They're wondering if we've ever started a character design art first instead of the other way around, I guess.
Not that I know of, but that would be really cool. You should just start drawing awesome characters and be like, huh?
Yeah. It's like, sorry, we just happen to have this picture of so and so sitting here. You should use it. Yeah,
I keep meaning to like draw my own characters in the style.
Oh yeah.
And then like just be like, oh look, this art's already done.
Here's my cleric with one arm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be sweet. A character's got character.
Yeah, she's really awesome.
Yeah, and way too much con. Okay.
Yeah.
So when this has finally been approved and it's gone out and all that stuff, like obviously you're moving on to other things, and so you're already working on content that's 3 weeks from now or something by the time this comes out. But do you have art that goes out and then like you're thinking about like, man, I'd like to touch up this, or I'd like to change this one thing? Like, are there, like, do you look at it with a critical eye for your own art after it goes out?
Oh yeah, and it gets like more and more critical as time goes on.
Yeah.
Especially when you come back like a year later and you're like, oh, I'm so much better now.
So are there aspects of Deacon or even other champions that you'd update if you had an opportunity, or that you're like you've reconciled how you feel about them?
I think for the moment I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Huh. Actually, no, you probably shouldn't say anything, because then people will be like, you should do that update.
Yeah.
And then it'll never happen. So
it's perfect as it is. It's fine. It's
yeah.
great.
Yeah. I love all my children equally.
Yeah.
Okay. Tivian Chase wants to know if we're going to do Harmon Quest characters. We don't usually comment on upcoming characters for a lot of reasons, never mind like NDAs or agreements or things talking about in process. So like we just straight up can't comment. That being said, I don't think Harmon Quest is going to happen either way, personally. Do you know what Harmon Quest is?
I do not.
Do you know who Dan Harmon is?
Yes.
He has a D&D podcast that he's had for a while. Yeah, I would be very, very surprised if anything related to Harmon Quest happened for us. Mm-hmm. Not that we're not fans, because Dan Harmon is awesome. Well, at least, yeah, Dan Harmon is awesome. I was going to go into a tangent about Rick and Morty, but we don't need that. Jim Zub's going to do that with that comic series soon, so we're pretty excited about that. Okay, well, looking at Deacon, let's talk a bit about his abilities, because we don't get to see any of the actual animation or the character being played here. What was your biggest challenge in animating him? Because obviously he's going to shoot his crossbow, but what else? It's okay. It's okay to spoil like some of it because we're not showing it. It's,
right.
Yeah.
So I can talk about his ultimate.
Yeah, you can talk about other stuff that he does. Yeah.
Yeah. So his ultimate's related to the Doom song, and so that was a bit of a challenge. Like, how do you animate him singing a song when you don't have the audio in game? So I ended up doing like a bit of sort of text animation in there, and sort of like a little hopping around and stuff. So I hope that turns out when you actually see it.
Yeah.
In the game, because it looks great on my screen, but then when you have all the other characters around and the effects and stuff that are added in.
Okay, so if it doesn't look good in the game, it's the game's fault.
Oh yeah, it's not my fault.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Huh. Are there other like, I guess character-wise, like what was the greatest animation challenge so far? Never mind the scale of how many ultimates Strix basically has, but like what was the most individually challenging thing to try and put together that you just like beat your head against the wall trying to get finished?
Oh man, that's a really tough one because now I have to reach back into my memory and it's just like it's gone. Challenging. Well, whenever I have to do a character with two hands on a weapon, that's always like an interesting challenge, like moving it around in a 2D plane without the hand slipping and sliding everywhere too much. So
okay.
So Knox Spear thingy.
Oh, he's got a Naginata,
Yeah, the thing. That was a whole bunch of fun.
Oh, so did it take longer to do his like basic attacks because of that?
Yeah.
All right. Plus, he has a couple different ones, right? Or is it a similar animation, but something? There's like a different effect or something because he has like a. Yeah.
Oh, I think he's got like a swing down, and then he's got a cleave.
Yeah.
So cleaves are also terrible to do. To me, I don't like doing cleaves because it's again you're going like across a 3D space in a 2D plane. Mm-hmm. So the combination of doing the two hands on the weapon and then the cleave was just like. It was, not my favorite to do.
Okay.
Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. And I guess what, that's puns. People trying to be cheeky in chat and the auto moderator is being like, I don't know about that. I guess, since you don't get to really watch players play this game, but like, thinking about that, what is the part that you are most excited about players getting to experience with Deacon?
Oh, his ultimate.
Yeah.
I really love it. Yeah.
Okay. And then Curveball, Evelyn and Strix and Nurak. Like what about those ones were you excited about?
Oh, it's pretty much always the ultimates.
Yeah.
Yeah, like summoning a Pegasus.
So why ultimates? Like, is it just because they do something that's so much more unconventional?
Yeah.
Obviously, Evelyn rides a Pegasus, so that is actually pretty awesome.
Yeah. And Strix is like polymorphing her staff into all sorts of fun things. Like yeah, there's just like a little more room for awesomeness within them. Like yeah.
Okay. The .dk wants us to explain the connection between Deacon and Gur's Doom song. Gur from Invader Zim. I don't know if you ever watched that.
Oh, yeah, I did a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, what would have come first?
You know, I don't actually know which one came first. It's been a long time since I watched Invader Zim. I'm just going to go ahead and... Oh, wow. Inva automatically makes it come up. Like, when did Invader Zim start? 2001? All right, Neverwinter Nights. First one. 2003. Gonna go ahead and say that it's much more likely that Neverwinter Nights was inspired by Invader Zim. And who wouldn't be? Invader Zim was awesome. That being said, the Doom song. Just singing, you just sing Doom over and over again. I mean, is it really a song? Okay, they want to know how close to the wire is art to the release. So they're trying to get a better idea of when the patch comes out. We'll talk more about the patch after Alexis goes. Okay, here we go. Backdoor Shady Dealer. Do you have a special wrist brace or ergonomic chair that you use during long periods of animating?
No, but maybe I should. No, luckily I haven't had too many issues with my wrists or back. I do sometimes have back issues, but they're kind of unrelated to working at a desk. They're more sports
More of a
related.
running 40K kind of thing?
Yeah. Well, the original injury for my back was rock climbing. So, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Two of my 3 original shoulder injuries are from rock climbing, so I understand. Sir LeChuckster, you can guess who that is. Who is your favorite character in the game?
I can't pick.
You can't pick?
I can't pick.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and say Krond, and then move on to Papa Smirk's question. Does Alexis attend cons as a special artist guest?
I haven't yet. Well, some of the local stuff I've gone to, but not in the past year or so. And I did do like a little bit of drawing at some of the older ones, but yeah.
Drag you to Capital City Comic Con next year. You can set up a booth beside Michelle.
Yeah, not opposed to it.
I remember because Adam was there and I was there for a bit, and Clive was there, and everybody was there. It seemed like in some capacity. It was good. It was a good first con for Victoria. What else do we have here? Oh, I missed this one from way back. Hi Dylan, you teased a Balrog with Doom, and we got a Kobold instead. Will this champ have lower HP than other champions since Kobolds only get 1/2 a hit die? And when will we get a Balrog? So I can't comment on a Balrog ever for any reason really. But let's say that Deacon's starting health makes a lot of sense. And move on. Yeah, I don't really have anything else for you, and I know how crazy slammed you guys are with your art content schedule. So if anybody has any other questions, art related or for Alexis, send them right now. But otherwise, I'm going to let her get back to work in the next couple minutes because she'd probably rather be working than be on stream.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Yeah, no Balrogs. D&D doesn't have permission to call upon the flame of Udun. That's some expert nerdmanship right there. Oh yeah, Lauren's talking about standing and regular breaks, helping for both me as a musician and her husband as an artist. Cool. What slot does Deacon swap into? I can't spoil that, but my previous answer still stands. I am actually using an ergonomic chair right now. I think I'm one of the only people in the office using it because there's a few people who use standing desks, but everybody else uses this. Actually, admittedly, the chairs aren't bad, and if I hadn't had an accident 9 years and a few weeks ago, breaking my back, I probably would be able to sit in those chairs too. But if you ever break your back, I don't recommend it. All kinds of things could be painful that never used to be, like sitting in different types of chairs. So Garwar, I'd say that it's safe to start prepping one. Yeah, safe to start prepping one. The patch will come today. But it doesn't look like we have anything else for you. Oh wait, artist question. You mentioned in an earlier stream that the artists love champions with tumble animations.
No.
How about a doppelganger monk that shapeshifts into all the other champions randomly before each attack and then does a suplex?
Oh man.
Wow.
No, it doesn't sound interesting at all.
Yeah, you'll get the art team to kill me. That was a joke, because Adam was joking about Diath doing flips, and yeah, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
Anywho, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks.
And I will move back to the gameplay. Let's see.
Bye, everyone.
Okay, what was my game doing? Oh wait, no, solo view. Close. Where did I leave this on? Supply run free play. Oh, 255. I haven't quite cleared it yet, so I guess I'll let that roll. Just readjust my seat. So, let's get some sound in here. Let's get some sound. Is that enough? I don't want to get too loud. I know how much people love the music in this game. Oh, raffle spam. Here we go. All aboard the raffle train. Garwar, yes, the full name of our next champion is Deacon Scale Singer. Deekin Scale Singer. All one word. Originally from Neverwinter Nights, where he was hilarious and just like a fun member to have in your party that you kind of kept because he was really entertaining. I think he was in Neverwinter Nights too, but like he was like a shopkeeper or something. He wasn't used nearly as much. So, yeah. Fun fact: after many of the most recognizable names for the Forgotten Realms that were submitted during our poll a few months ago, Deacon was one of the more popular suggestions for a character to add. So the reason he's coming next is because the community asked for him. They campaigned for him. And if you're wondering whether or not, hey, there are some other champions that we want more who we also suggested, that's true. But there is a rhyme and reason for the order in which we have characters coming out. And it's not necessarily related to balance so much as it is there's an order in our calendar that is getting more and more clearly defined now that Chris Dupuis is on board. So for those who don't know, we hired Chris Dupuis, I want to say in May, and he has more recently reached a point where he is taking the reins on campaign adventure and champion design and development and such. So yeah, very excited for the next event to come live, and the content release after that, which will come while I'm gone, is one that I am personally very excited for. It's going to be weird not playing it right away because I'll play it when I get back, but it's fun. It's yeah, it's good stuff. So getting back to some questions, let's see. Are there any current plans to offer alternate skins for existing characters? So basically, with the way the game is designed, having a completely different skin for a character is exactly the same thing as drawing a new champion, like time-wise, because everything is basically it's all 2D art. It's all done in Illustrator, and then it's animated. It's not like a 3D model where you can dump things onto it. This is every skin would have to be drawn from scratch. And one of the things that has prevented us from even considering anything like that in the past so far is the fact that the production schedule for the game, and specifically the art production schedule, is is large enough and busy enough. Like it's you know, it can be at times an overwhelming amount of work for our team. There's enough art coming in that they don't have time to go back to something like that because it's a purely cosmetic change. Now that being said, if it seemed like we could viably do skins and justify the time, which is to say they would probably have to be paid skins, you know, just given the amount of art time that it would take up from us. If that were possible, you know, maybe. But it's a big maybe, and it's not a feature I would expect anytime in the immediate future. I would be very surprised if anything like that came out this year. We are certainly right now very much focused on a champion balance update, a tanking and healing system overhaul, offline gold gain updates, and a few other things that aren't announced that are kind of like the major milestones we want to start getting through. And now that Chris is on board and working in such a large capacity to help the team out, you know, that frees up Justin more to tackle these bigger projects. So it's kind of we'll get there. Yeah. Artifact Sparrow. So will entertainment be the sole reason we keep Deacon in our parties? So I don't want to spoil much because I think there's a huge amount of joy to be gained in discovering a character for the first time. That being said, what I can say about Deacon is that there is a mechanic that improves party DPS associated with him that is absolutely competitive with that slot. And he also does something else that no character in the game has ever done. And it's something that I think will make him viable for every player, at least for some of their runs. And that's about where I can leave it. I know that's a little cryptic. That's, you know, like it's like vague booking or something. But I feel like I can safely say that players should be very excited for him, because, yeah. No, I get myself in trouble. Absolutely competitive in that slot, and yeah, I mean, obviously, on a player-to-player basis, your equipment will play a huge part in whether or not you know, Deacon is viable, because they might be trying to swap with someone or some champions or which slot, you know, might be swapping with a slot that already has so many golden epics and such high gear levels that you just like, it's not possible. But the average player doesn't have 800 gear levels in golden epic items. Like, you know, that's very much an outlier thing. So for most players, he should be immediately usable. And for those who do make a purchase, I would think that he would probably be an automatic swap in. But again, it does depend on your gear. Ray Cool, he always asks good questions. Would you prefer armor or divine favor as a Z50 boss gimmick? What do you mean by divine favor as a Z50 boss gimmick? I actually really like armor because I think it's interesting, provided it's used sparingly. Like, I think it makes total sense for a Serac to be ludicrously difficult, because it's a Serac. I mean, we have to represent these canonically nearly godlike characters in a way that makes sense. And a Serac is, I mean, he's a demi-lich, right? Like, he's the cover of the DM guide. He's on the cover of Tomb of Annihilation. He's a no bullshit, super crazy dangerous antagonist. You know, so in that case, I think it makes sense. And the Frost Giant was a great introduction once we got it working. Shout out to Dave for coming in that weekend to fix those bugs. Yeah, a Serac, also known as Chris Perkins. Thanks for the reminder, Garwar. Yeah, so, but I don't know what you mean, Ray Cool, by Divine Favor as a C50 boss gimmick. Like, it spends your Divine Favor, or I don't know. Saba Wayomu, would you ever make any of the Vox Machina or Mighty Nine characters? So we have quite a few Critical Role fans here in the office, and obviously I can't comment on any potential anything related to upcoming characters, yada yada yada. We would very, very much love to do the Mighty Nine or Vox Machina. I don't know which cast I like more. I don't know how many of you were also watching Critical Role last week, but just, I don't know, there's something, I guess when you follow a show for a while, you kind of just like, you start to feel a loose connection to the characters, the actors portraying them, what have you, to this group of friends. I mean, obviously they don't know any of us and we don't actually know them. Well, maybe a couple of people in chat do, but you don't know them. So it's kind of one of those things where, like, when the episode started and you're like, huh, Liam's on a TV screen and Laura and Travis are and then you have that moment of realization why they're not there. I mean, the chat went crazy. God, that was cool. Anyways, I'm distracting myself. We would very, very much love to do Vox Machina or the Mighty Nine. I don't know if it'll ever happen. Critical Role certainly has a lot going on these days. They just launched their own Twitch channel and their own YouTube channel and their own independent website, and they seem to be separating it, at least partially, from Geek and Sundry. I'm not quite sure how any of that works, and so you know, they have a lot on their plates. But wouldn't that be cool? All right, Canuck Monkey 13. In one of the new missions, you fight 3 hags as a boss. When I was playing the other day, I noticed that the counter for kill a boss is one of the... Oh, you have that bug where you have to clear that whole level 3 times. That bug is fixed. I don't know if that fix has been pushed out yet. But yeah, that is a well-reported obnoxious bug that doesn't always happen at level 45, but sometimes happens at, like, like 95, 145, etc. Like, yeah, that one was obnoxious. Baron Stromgard. Any more news on being able to acquire historical golden epics? Example, the first one for Stokey, for people who were not playing at that point. So I don't have news on the subject except to reiterate what I've said through the subreddit Q&As and on Discord and probably on other streams. They will definitely come around, and we will have ways for players to get golden epics they've missed. Without spoiling too much, we are working on some pretty significant UI and system related stuff for the game that I don't know the ETA on it, but we should be able to address that and a number of other concerns all at once. So just please be patient. Nothing that you've missed in this game is missed forever. So yeah. Seven Dust. Maybe give a brief explanation of who Deacon is in his respective game. Deacon is a companion in Neverwinter Nights who is kind of like, I suppose, intended as a comedic relief, but has just ridiculously entertaining banner, often speaks in the third person, sings ridiculous Doom songs, not unlike Gur's Doom song from Invader Zim, and just kind of like is always heralding the doom of the party. And it's just, I don't know, adds a much needed amount of levity to the game that has, because of that, earned him a place in the hearts of many Neverwinter fans. So yeah, he was kind of almost a no-brainer for us to add. I think David first mentioned Deacon being one of his favorite characters during David's first stream, like last October. So it took us a while to get to him, but he was probably at this point in the schedule since then, because that's how busy our champion schedule is. But yeah, he's entertaining in that classic RPG way, in that like all the dialogue he has with your other party members and stuff is like, it's just all entertaining. So you tend to keep him around because he's entertaining. So. Okay, Lacknor. Does Justin know the time gate zone requirements aren't actually a zero-sum system because the champions at minimum who can't be lowered? Yeah, he knows that it's not a true zero-sum system. He was just trying to find a way to articulate how the system works to as many people as possible in a way that's easy to understand. Yeah, that's really it. Giant Dwarf. Deacon's alignment. You know, that's a good question. I don't know what Deacon's final in-game alignment is. And honestly, for me, Neverwinter and like Baldur's Gate and those other games are so far back in my brain that I haven't got the slightest. I do not remember them. I imagine he's chaotic or something. Oakhurst. Are the events going to stay on the same pace as the game continues? So, to give you some context, Oakhurst, events are intended to come out at a roughly 3-week-ish cadence. I know we did back-to-back events once, but we also had one like month-long gap in between events this past winter, tied into like when we were on vacation and other stuff. But yeah, you can count on one about every 3 weeks, or I think that works out to about 17 events a year, give or take. So that's kind of the pace at which they'll come out. So we have an event that's about to start soon. The next, that event will wrap up after, 2 weeks-ish, and then there'll be another content release that's not an event, another week-ish or so, and then there'll be another one not long after. So like every 3 weeks, give or take. So I hope that gives you an idea. Okay. Now that bosses are able to run away, well, we get bosses that run away every 10 levels and come back with extra bosses to help. I really like the way you're thinking, Zappin28. That's exactly the kind of thing that I do as a DM. We haven't finished our Sunless Citadel campaign because people have been unavailable in the office, and we want to make sure that we have our full group. But basically, they're towards the end, and I have tormented them with a number of recurring villain-like characters because I love that. I love that shit. I like making players hate what they have to deal with, or just frustrated with having to deal with them. I had a great conversation with one of my DM friends about it the other day, where he was talking about how he deliberately made this like really pompous villain who is vulgar and like flips off the party and all this other stuff, because he just like the villain loves to taunt his party, and he's like, our players have never, like, for that game he's DMing, he's like, they hate him so much, and it's just like, I don't know, I think that's more fun. So on that note, Zappin28, I really like the idea of a boss that runs away and comes back. Makes me think of Ultros in Final Fantasy VI, but yeah, recurring villains are the best kind of villains, right? Plus, like, you never get that closure of like actually satisfactorily destroying them or beating them. They get away and they come back and mess with you. Oh, good times. Idle Champions from Exandria is unlikely more to dead. Moving on. When can we buy an Idle Champions shirt? Iwa Kichka. Okay, so obviously I'm wearing my my D&D Pride shirt with the invisible part of me where the green is. The merch for Idle Champions is outside of our hands. There's a lot of behind the scenes reasoning why that would make total sense if I was allowed to explain it, but I'm not. So please be patient. We would love for people to be able to get them, and we will absolutely let everybody know when that happens. But yeah, it's not possible to buy them yet. A bunch of people just waved at me in a weird way as they walked by. I'm like, what does that mean? Okay, so very cool. Opinions on D&D novels from before the Wizards of the Coast purchase that don't involve Bruner. I didn't read Forgotten Realms novels. I read Dragonlance. I read about 40 or 50 of those. Like the first 5 or 6 Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman ones, like the Dragons of Summer Flame and Autumn Twilight and so on. I think that's the names. But that was long enough ago that I don't actually really remember what happens in them. I remember thinking that Race Limagir was an absolutely amazing character, but that his brother Caramon was kind of like ho-hum, and just hating Kender, and I still hate Kender when I think about them. They're just like the Jar Jar Binkses of Dragonlance, or Jar Jar Binks is the Kender of Star Wars, whichever you prefer. But I loved them when I did read them. Yeah. Oh, yeah, I loved them enough to read like 40 or 50 of them, so too many. So that's the most opinion I can give you, right? Cool. I never actually read any of Dritz's books. or any of Ed Greenwood's books or any of Ari Salvatore's books. I never did. Oh, I got a note here. What is this note? Yeah. Oh, I have a note from Chris. Deacon is neutral. Chris, is Deacon chaotic neutral, or he's got to be chaotic neutral, right? Anyways. Alrighty, Cassius 335. Can the time gate button not pop the campaign map, please? Okay, so the this part right here, we're at campaign map time gates. You want it to just pop up the time gate UI? I have no idea if that's possible or not based on the way that they put the game together. I'll make a note about it, but it's not a bit of feedback we get a lot of. TRH17. Will you tell us when the update is live so we can update the game and get the ball rolling on getting Deacon? Absolutely. You will know when I know, which is to say, you will know when I know. Zapan28. Are there any plans for when events start to come around for a second time? It is safe to say that when we start hitting year 2 of the game, a full year out from our official early access debut on Steam, that we will start hitting year 2 versions of events. So you can expect a High Harvestide 2 or some event like it late September, most likely. Things can always change, but it doesn't mean that it will or won't. Hey me soon, can you please fix Strix's poor hygiene? Oh, I wasn't sure if that had been fixed or not. You're talking about where it's based on a distance but not a percentage of screen size? Yeah. So yeah, I have been stuck on these characters forever. The boss is obviously dead. Should I pop ults? Will that kill them? No, it won't. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna complete this adventure. I'll put on something more entertaining. What adventure should I do? Keeping in mind that everything is complete and I have all the achievements and my characters are overgeared for the most part, where would you like to see me go? Yeah, so you let me know which one to do and I will get on that. Bill VR, could a character like Lord Soth make it into the game? I ask more since he is in multiple game worlds. Whether or not a character can make it into the game has more to do with I mean, first of all, everything goes by Wizards of the Coast. So if they don't want us to introduce something to 5e or for the Forgotten Realms or what have you, then it won't happen. But let's say that they said it was okay, like that we could do that. I don't know who owns the Lord Soth as an IP, like who he belongs to, but we would also have to make arrangements with them if it's not already owned by Wizards. And so it's kind of one of those things where, like, depending on how complicated it is, it could be extremely difficult, or or not. We really don't know. I mean, we were very, very lucky in that, Scott Kurtz and Anna Prosser Robinson and Holly Conrad and Joe Manganello have all been extremely just like excited and happy to be working with us to adapt their characters. And so those processes have gone by really, really quickly and easily. I was going to be snapping my fingers there, and I just kind of lazily waved them. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm doing this. So yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'd say it's possible, but I can also say that Lord Soth is not a character we're looking at. Algorithms. Hey Dylan, I was thinking that perhaps your usage of the level bars beneath character portraits could be better used as a health bar rather than an experience bar for upgrades. Let's be honest, most of us only click upgrade anyways, and the circles get lost under mobs so easily. Your thoughts? I think there are things we could do better with our UI that we are already planning to address, but that it is currently functional enough that we how do I put it? Aren't in a rush. Like it's lower priority versus like certainly the offline gold gain and which would also completely overhaul the way party damage calculations are done and how accurate they are. And the tanking and healing updates, like, those are bigger priorities for us. We really want to get those done. Yes, the UI could use some tweaking, but yeah. Did somebody say Tomb of the Nine Gods? Is that what you guys want me to do? Okay. Yeah, like we could update our UI and it would be a good thing. What kind of formation should I be doing? How about Evelyn in the front? Let's do a back row damage formation. I like these ones. They're fun. I'm just gonna do this for a moment. Behind, which means I can't use Calliope. And switching back, actually for a caster. Caster's in the back. Heck, I can use Stokie as well. Alright. Let's start with this. This will probably get me really far at the beginning. Leveling this up, then I'll get back to questions. Oh my god. Long term it's going to be Strix doing damage, so... Okay, so moving on. Crab Kalash, is there something people should do when they get stuck on characters that won't die like that? Yeah, I mean, it really depends on what you're working towards. Whether or not you are you working towards more favor, in which case, like, you want to get to a certain percentage. You know, you want to be getting like 5 to 10% increase to your favor, then you just reset how efficient you're being. But like, if nothing will die because your party DPS is low, you could try adjusting your party. Like the one that I was just using was suboptimal in the sense that it was a 2 DPS party when it could be a 1 DPS party. I wasn't using Barrowan. I could switch Barrowan in and do a Barrowan 4-stack, dragging a character on and off the party to build up Strix's damage high enough that she could one-shot them both. There are options. That being said, if you are Barrowan 4-stacking with a DPS optimal formation and you cannot kill something, chances are, like, you were probably got there using buffs or potions or something, and they ran out because, yeah, you can only get so far. But yeah, but now that said, if there's a bug, like they're just not taking damage or something else, that signifies a whole other host of issues. So, speaking of Barrowan, boom, there's Barrowan right now. Probably gonna have, yeah, why not? Whatever. Okay, a corpse. Any progress on fixing the bug where Strix stops attacking randomly during your ult and getting vulnerable? I don't know that there is more progress to it yet. I mean, I personally haven't noticed any issues with Strix's ult in quite a long time. I'll just make a note there because maybe Mark will know. Yeah. Also, players were wondering when the next patch is going to come out. How about now?
That was easy.
Sorry. Yeah, Founders Day should be live now. So players should be able to start unlocking Deacon now. Yeah, I'll find out in a second. I'm going to pull up my library. No, yeah, no. Completed update. That should be enough, but I guess we'll find out. Dup. Oh, no. It wants me to exit Steam completely. Anyways, yes, please patch your game and load up the latest event and unlock Deacon, which is what I'm going to be doing for the rest of this stream once I get back in. So yeah, Garwar, you can start working on your guide now. Whoops. Yeah. It is a weird formation. And Deacon does some very, very cool stuff. Yeah, which, you know what, I will talk to you about as soon as I unlock them. Once I'm finished updating, apparently. Cool beans. Morton, do I have a gold digging formation that you could show us? Yeah, you can use Stokey and with a Makos formation, or you can use Jarlaxle. A Jarlaxle formation with Makos. But basically, you just keep Makos ulting at your wall with a formation focused on him, and that's about the best you could do for gold gain at once. So. Alrighty, booting up the game. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. How does my air conditioning vent sound, everybody, by the way? Does it sound good? It's a little quieter than usual. Okay, cool. Alrighty. Let's get this show on the road. So yeah, my Tomb of the Nine Gods run was 5 minutes until completion. Wait, I need comb. Yeah, I have 32 towels. All right, that was dumb. I'm just gonna pull something up and contract it and then get them. But yes, the latest patch for Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms is now out, and oh, fuck, I don't know how many of these do I need. How about 10? A couple of times. That's way more than I need, right? I've got hundreds, if not thousands. Cool. Yeah, Morton, I don't know if that helps. DC Backroads, any ETA on the offline gold gain update? No, it's so Mark has been the one who's been predominantly working on it so far. It's a very complicated process. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. I know there's really good, well-written advanced text there, but I'm not going to read it. I'm just going to get this set up so that I can keep going through questions while my familiars do all the work, which I can, yeah. And then, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take it a step further. Where's the champion damage? Gold find. Click damage. Boom. All right, so now I don't have to look at this. So yeah, no ETA on it. DC Backroads, Mark is working on it when he has extra cycles, but you know we have a content schedule we kind of have to adhere to as well. And I know there are a lot of players who would prefer that we focused on these major updates instead, but we have to release content that can make us money at a rate that is fast enough for us to make enough money for the lights to stay on and for us all to have jobs. Like we have to do, you know, we have to maintain a pace. So. Alrighty, once there are a bunch of characters from a setting like Neverwinter, will there be a group buff for them like the Companions boost? Without spoiling anything, I could say that is possible. There are characters in our game who party together, who should have synergies that make a difference. So, it's something that we've talked about. I don't know that's something that we're going to do right now, because if we did that right now, like say Strix and Evelyn had some sort of amazing party buff right now, everybody would use both. People would be mad if they didn't have either, you know, if they came on board late and they weren't able to quickly unlock them through time gates or something. And like, obviously there's a number of members from Force Grey in our roster, and then there's most of the Companions of the Hall in our roster, and it's like, there would be really obvious optimal DPS formations if we did that. So if we do anything that relates to those kinds of champion synergies, you know, we have a lot to consider with it. Algorithms wants to look at my achievements, see what my maximum levels reached, kills, etc. Okay, where are my achievements? See. I don't know which ones are the ones that we really want to be looking at. Complete area 300 is the highest one of those I've done. There are players who have done more with old school fire breath potion pushes. Yeah, you know, 10,000 bosses killed. Earn 1 E50 gold. I don't even know what a 50-digit number is. But yeah, I don't know. I've played a bit. There are players who have played a lot more, that's for sure. Oh god, how do I... Okay, I see what people mean about this being a weird formation. Well, anyways, moving forward. My max level was like 300 and something, like 320 or 340, but like I definitely didn't get to 400. Alright, it's happened. Do character stats have any effect on their damage or health? Naeli has only 13 con to Evelyn 16, but it seems like Naeli has much more health. Naeli does have much more health because, unlike Evelyn, Naeli has this chest piece that increases the health of Naeli by a percentage, which makes her health increases dramatically more than Evelyn. But that being said, it's deliberate that Evelyn doesn't have one of those because that's something that is not likely to continue when we do a champion tanking and healing overhaul. So, yeah. Now, to answer the question, your stat sheet has no effect on how a character performs. That's all dictated by other things. But it does have an effect on eligibilities for different buffs and adventures and stuff. So originally we were gonna, I think, intended to have it so that all of these the ability scores would be like totally irrelevant to gameplay. But we have since moved on to making them relevant in some ways and considering how we could do more. Iwa Kitchka, who is the Boo in the Discord? The Boo founded the Discord, so Boo is there with a ghost rank as the only person. What is your favorite piece of Vogan poetry? Oh god, the one that doesn't make me kill myself. Splurch, I've got a friend who has some antivirus issues that cause the game to stall every few levels. Any word on this being resolved? So yeah, we've run into a number of issues related to that. And we've managed to resolve quite a bit of it, but it's an ongoing thing. Obviously, you shouldn't just turn off your antivirus, especially since you might forget to turn it back on and cause yourself a real problem down the line. But yeah, if you turn off the antivirus, you won't have issues. David's been working on isolating that issue and solving it, and I just don't think we've quite reached that yet. So thanks for the reminder, Splurch. Toastmaster. How much say does Wizards of the Coast have on the storylines? Obviously they have to approve everything, but are there storylines your ideas, or do Wizards have requests like, make this a quest line about Sahuagin? So we pitch everything. Now that being said, Wizards would very much like for us to stick to 5e as much as possible and stick to current events. So obviously we released our first 2 adventures and variants for Dragon Heist shortly after the announcement of Dragon Heist. You know, it's safe to assume that we will have content related to books. More than that, I used a whole bunch of contracts, yeah. I used like 30 of the common contracts, which is why I have so many tolls. It's just so I could start the adventure on stream. Although I might spend a ton of contracts to buy a bunch of buy some gold chests for Deacon, because Deacon looks sweet. Actually, you know what I might do? Oh no, wait, there's no point in me. I might actually buy gear for Deacon, because I know what he does, and he's gonna be real good. Yes, Colette, Deacon is a Bruner swap. Slot 1, almost nobody guessed slot 1, probably because we said we'd probably never do that. So yeah, Toastmaster, we pitched the ideas. And then Scott Fitzgerald Gray, one of the freelance writer who does a lot of editing work for Wizards of the Coast Adventures, he writes our adventures. So yeah. Yeah. Garawar, is it Founders Day, Founders' Day, or Founders Day? Or literally somebody named Founders getting his own day. Let's just say that the art and the copy is not consistent everywhere. So, yes, it should be Founders with an explanation at the end, but the title image didn't have that, so yeah. It looks better without it. That's purely for aesthetic reasons. Diogo Dino, what is the deal with Barrowin? How can I use her properly? Well, I probably won't get to Barrowin on this run because this event variant is so early. But basically, Barrowin, every time she attacks, buffs all adjacent champions with a stacking buff. And so the more times that Barrowin attacks before they do, the higher that buff can get. Now it caps out at 4, but at 4, it adds an absolutely insane amount of damage to a champion's next hit. Now, leaving Barrowin idle in your party, it's likely that Barrowin will never get more than 2 stacks on any other champion, because Barrowin's attack timer is like, I think, like 4 seconds or something by default. And most characters are a little under 4 seconds, or as high as like 7.5. So, it's possible, technically possible, for them to get 2 stacks naturally, but it's very, very unlikely. And so what you do is, if you have a character, like say, I wanted Nayeli to get stacked up by Barrowin, and instead of Regis, I had Barrowin here. Nayeli, I would let Regis attack, and then I would drag Nayeli out of the formation, wait until Barrowin is about to attack again, and then drag Nayeli back in just before then, so that they get another stack, because the stack carries onto the bench. And so, it takes you like, I don't know, 15 seconds or something, but you can get 4 stacks on a champion. At which point, if you are at your idle wall, you will probably be able to one-shot another 5, 10, 15, 20 levels of champions. So, yeah. Toastmaster, this is Regis. The Regis. Yeah. I can swap to Celeste. Boom, Celeste. Oh, there we go, Stokey. Stokey is so good. Alrighty, so I hope that gives you an explanation, Diogo Dino. There are people in the Discord who can answer that a little bit more fully if you need more of an explanation. The Discord, for those who may not know, is at discord.gg/idlechampions. It is our official Discord. Lauren just linked it in chat. Yeah, pretty much anything you could want to know about the game is there in some form. Beat Crushers. I can bench Hitch and keep getting the friendly buff. Is this working as intended? No. If Hitch is not in your formation and you're still getting his buff, that's some kind of bug. So make a note, because that shouldn't happen. Hawker & Co. No clickers for click damage, and Bruner just for the super lazy. So, I mean, I have them in here so that I can not pay attention to this, and my characters will easily progress. Because this is a fresh adventure, it's pretty easy to get overwhelmed before you're able to buy extra champions for Bruner to have help. So you'll probably be clicking for the first few areas at least until you've unlocked at least, slot 2 and 3. So, yeah. I admit it was originally supposed to be Flounders Day, celebrating our favorite 2D fish, and somebody made a typo. Totally. So random and weird. King Lemming. Are there any plans on making Barrowin not quite as required? At the moment, Barrowin plus Golden Hammer is just leagues better than everything else. So we are aware of that issue. It's one of the reasons we are really not happy with Barrowin. So we put a band-aid fix on Barrowin after she was released. There was a couple-week window because we released Barrowin just before the Christmas holidays last year, where she came out and players were able to, first of all, stack her buff indefinitely, which meant at least one of our players sent us screenshot evidence of passing area 1000, like 25 or something, where the enemies have INF hit points for the word infinite, and you're doing INF plus whatever damage, so you're technically doing more than their level, so you're still one-shotting them with crazy Barrowin stacks. It was nuts. And so obviously that was not intended, and so we limited the number of stacks you can have to 4, which is still a crazy high amount of extra damage, disproportionately so compared to every other champion. But didn't allow you to break the game as far. It allowed you to get quite a few areas further, but not so much so that it broke the game altogether. Because we do want to reward active play, like a player who is sitting at their computer and clicking distractions and trying to make sure that they're being optimal. Like, we want to make sure that that's actually worthwhile for people. That's only fair. But that being said, like, Barrowin does allow too much. Like, who are we kidding? You know, as soon as we introduce time gates, it's like anybody who missed Barrowin, definitely get Barrowin, because Barrowin, even naked, is probably going to be able to out-buff Tyrell for your DPS, because you can Barrowin stack. So that's obviously not a good thing. But it's something that we haven't addressed yet, because we will eventually get to it. So I hope, you know, yeah, it's... I don't know exactly what the plan is, and like, we really don't like the idea of nerfing anything. We're very much of the mind that bringing champions up to a baseline is a better way to approach a lot of our issues, and it feels better to make your character stronger, right? But like, let's be honest, like, Barrowin is disproportionately good, like, to an unfair degree. So yeah, she needs the hammer buff item, Artifacts Barrow. Yeah, sure. But like, Barrowin is crazy strong, and it's kind of problematic. So, all right, let's look at this car crash of a formation a little bit more, to coin what somebody else said. Because what is an optimal formation for this? I would probably want Evelyn here and Naily here, and then maybe another buffer. So I actually want Celeste here. Probably something more like this. And then put Celeste here and actually swap with Regis so that he's buffing backwards. Oh, I haven't got to the point where he's buffing behind. Then I can have Calliope behind that. Janky. Rally is the best. So, the Founder's Day formation is Balloon Animal. No, it's Car Crash. Come on. Very cool. Once you unlock Deacon, can you flip to Torm and aim for Arcan DPS in the front line? I mean, I could try. I might... What I will probably do is, when I unlock Deacon, depending on how much time left we have on stream, because like, this is going reasonably quickly, I can get to level 50 before then. I will probably tab over so you can't see my screen, buy a DLC pack so that he's geared, and then I'll pull him into an adventure and see what he's like. But basically, to start talking about what... yeah, I could do that too as well, Candyman. Yeah, that's a good point. And that's probably superior to what I was just describing for a layout. Anyways, just to see what Deacon is like. But basically, the way Deacon works is he sings for your party. He sings his Doom song. And while your party is unable to kill enemies, like you're not one-shotting them or only one character's DPSing them, he gains a stacking buff that keeps stacking up until you kill something. And then when you kill something, it starts dropping. When your party is killing something quickly, or killing lots of enemies quickly, his buff drops all the way down, and then it instead becomes something that starts accelerating how fast monsters spawn, which should allow you to get through earlier areas much more quickly. You know, I mean, it's probably only going to be like 10 seconds an area or something like that, 5 seconds an area, but it will add up over the course of 50 areas. Yeah, Deacon is your way to speed up early progression currently. And his base level buff is competitive with Bruner's Rally, but obviously Bruner's had a lot of gear come out. If you have this, he may not be competitive buff-wise, but he will certainly be worthwhile using early on. So, yeah. Yeah, Deacon should be, at least in some sense, viable for everybody, and then maybe not at your wall for everyone. But yeah, he's a Bruner swap who should make characters good. Does Justin make these formations wild like this to see if I can find a way to format them correctly on Reddit? That's funny, Garwar. Justin is currently on vacation. He's on Coney Island right now. Yeah, so. All right, what's next? Polenda. I got the Birdsong Gold Chest Pack last week. Oh, thank you. I had a shiny in that item slot. It feels a bit meh, not worth it. If you get polished potions and then the potion adds a shiny for some random hero I never use. Even more when there are 4 or none shiny items for Birdsong, or even making a polished potion work like a blacksmithing contract. Yeah, that's really unlucky timing. I mean, the potion of polish is there to make up for the fact that you overrode a polished slot, a silver shiny slot with a golden epic. But yeah, of course, a potion can go for somebody else. So yeah, thanks for your feedback, Polenda. I don't know that that's ideal, but yeah. Tribal Sage, is there an ETA on the big update? Well, if the big update is the update for Founders Day that I'm currently playing, it went live 20 minutes ago. And Erica would have been posting the things everywhere. And the social medias should have been a-buzzing with you know, things and tags and images and pictures of Deacon and so on and so forth. So, now, if you're asking for an ETA on another future update, I got nothing to share for you. Yeah, and I won't because I am, after this stream and tomorrow, once I get the newsletters out and I hand over a ton of stuff to Chris and Clive and Erica, I am gone for 2 weeks. So yeah. Philar, does Deacon cost to get out? He does currently. So basically, I think he's like 5 gold or something. Like, he's cheap. Like, you'll have to kill your first enemy with Bruner in order to swap for him. Otherwise, you'll have an empty formation and you can have familiars out. But Deacon has to cost something and be a swap because initially we were never intending to have a swap with Bruner, so we never wrote into the game technology that allowed Bruner to have a free swap where Deacon is unlocked from the get-go and Bruner is unlocked from the get-go and you just have either one. We have to write that in. So we might make that change, but I don't know that we will, so we'll see. But he's certainly cheap enough that you can easily get him quickly in any and every adventure from here until eternity. So yeah, Fellar, I hope that helps. Just going to take another drink here and make sure that I'm not missing anything. Yeah. I noticed players are still coming in wondering why I have so many tokens. I spent contracts. I only use contracts for events, so I just kind of let them build up. That's me still building up my gems after buying Almirage. Oh, I got a silver chest. Oh, I'm going to open that. Because why not? Yeah. Oh yeah, and I have a loot pack there. Alrighty. War domain, life domain. War, of course. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Tribal Sage, this is just an event update. Yeah, we have to release events at a pretty steady cadence in order to make enough money for the game to exist. So, yeah. Some of the other major updates they're going to take a while. I know we would very much like to get the big 3 updates that I described in the rough roadmap of this week's Q&A. We would very much like to get those done by like end of summerish, but I mean they're ambitious. So I suppose depending on how energized Justin is feeling after his mini vacation when he gets back, we'll be able to do them quickly or not. IRE, is there any reason that the Pseudo Dragon Familiar doesn't go on sale? It's not that it doesn't go on sale, it's that it hasn't yet. You know, it's Steam. All things go on sale at some time or another. Yeah. Oh yeah, Evelyn. The Sunshine Girl has arrived. Did it dump her at the front? No, of course not. Plunk. There we go. Okay. Okay. Coming up next, Caddy Bree. Stoked about Caddy Bree. War Domain. War Domain never changes. Nice, Canuck. I even thought about that in Ron Perlman's voice. Alfie MS. I'm sitting at 123,000 gems. Good on you. I don't play as much as I used to. I've been leaving the game running at work, but not touching it while I'm at home for the last few weeks because we went to Stream of Many Eyes, and then I'm getting married end of next week, so I've been doing a lot of wedding planning and stuff in my other time. So I have not been spending as much time grinding away at my gem total as I should have. If I was playing as much as our more active players, I would probably have 2 to 3 times as many gems as I do right now. Yeah. Oh, Tribal Sage, you just got here. So the big three are the offline gold gain update, which includes a lot of other technical stuff, which is why it doesn't seem like a big update, but it actually is because it's a lot of work. And then the other 2 big ones are the tanking and healing update, which is like an overhaul to the tanking and healing system for the game that will significantly change some aspects of the way the game is played. And then a champion balancing update where, now that we've done our overhaul systems to make it so that tanking and healing matter, bringing champions all in line with the baseline so that the less effective champions are more effective. Champions like Kron to have their ultimate, their specialization items consolidated so that they don't have as much junk gear, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of things. Mortonid, why not use Jarlaxle for that tiny gold at the beginning? Because I like Stokey, and I will always use Stokey. Yeah, that's basically it. I also teased a UI update was in the works. So the UI update is a little different. So players who lurk in our well of spoilers on our official Discord, which is discord.gg/idlechampions. At one point, somebody started to share some data mine stuff related to a version of like a controller UI that we were toying with. So there's that being worked on. That may or may not go somewhere. I mean, there's a big picture mode in Steam, so it would be kind of cool to have something to accommodate players who like to play that way. But I don't know. But yeah, there are elements of our UI that we're just not 100% happy with that we would like to add to. We've talked a lot about the journal. You can't browse other adventures than the ones that you're on with it. Time gate pieces don't show up in it. Although, I don't know, maybe they might have fixed that today, although I doubt it. It seems like there's a lot of stuff here. Time gate pieces don't show up in it. So you can't just browse other adventures. You can't reread content. There's other things here and there. So they, yeah, it's like there's more we could do with our journal, and it's something that we'd like to get to. We haven't yet. Same thing with our champion page. There's a few key things missing. First of all, you can't multi-class with it. It's just not an option. Whereas Binwin is a fighter barbarian, but I think in the game he's just fighter. That kind of thing. But then there's also we want to add a citation of where a character is from, and possibly, depending on the character, where their stat sheet is from. Because we have a very specific Evelyn stat sheet here. I want to say it's her level 6 stats, because even now, if you watch Dice Camera Action, when Anna Prosser Robinson is playing Evelyn, she has much higher stats than this because she's got over 20 strength and over 20 con, I think, and 20 charisma because she's just a crazy stat beast. That would break our game because she'd be eligible for too many different buffs and other things, and it would just inhibit our design. So we would be we would add something like Evelyn is from the show Dice Camera Action, is portrayed by Anna Prosser Robinson on the show Dice Camera Action. Created in whatever year, and this is her level 6 or 5 or whatever stat sheet. And then Nayeli, who was on the cover of the Sword Coast Adventurers Guide, along with with Makos there as well. Bruner, the first character created for the Forgotten Realms by R.A. Salvatore, whatever, stuff like that. We want to add those kinds of citations, and we're not currently able to add more of a bio because there's a limited amount of space in the system for where he gets put in. But like we want to do more, and so like yeah, we want to update that at some point. It's just you know, we can't deviate too much from our aggressive content schedule. But then on top of that, like these things take a lot of time and a lot of iteration to get them right, and for people to be happy with them and for us to like them. So yeah, we want to be able to be like, Calliope is from, you know, is a part of the team Force Grey, you know, played by Brian Posehn, was on Force Grey season 1 episode whatever, and is also in season 2, that kind of thing. So that way players will never click on a character sheet and wonder where a character came from. So that's another thing that like, so this isn't a specific UI update, big update that we're planning, but like there are things that we're chipping away at that we would like to get to because we want to improve our player experience and just make it so that it's easier for people to understand stuff. Yeah. Anywho. Artifact Sparrow, speaking of time gate pieces, it seemed like the first one dropped for everyone very quickly, but the second one was very spread out. 12 plus hours variance, even with people who were killing bosses pretty consistently. Was the first drop guaranteed somehow, or is the internal cooldown individually randomized? Time gate pieces drop every 5 to 6 days, so there's like a 24-hour-ish window there where they could drop from a boss, and the cooldown starts once one drops. So if you earned a time gate piece immediately after that, after the time gate patch went out last week, you would have gotten your second piece on Tuesday or Wednesday this past week. So that's really it. So it's not that it's the first drop is guaranteed. It's just you will get one every 5 to 6 days. So you know that's between you know, 30 and 36 days ish to just through those kinds of drops earning enough time gate pieces to open a gate. Now if you close gates early, or you know you only complete one objective in them, etc., like you may get some more pieces in between then, but yeah, because you know the basic plan that we may or may not stick to, I want to emphasize that like things can change, but like the intent with time gates is when an event is running, they don't open. And when an event isn't running for that subsequent week or two, there will be like a naturally occurring time gate that opens, and yeah. PB and Jotter, are you sure that? So right now, one of the problems with time gate pieces is that they don't show up in the journal. So the only way for you to know whether or not you got one is to click on time gates and go in here. Like I got my second piece sometime yesterday. I got mine later in the 5 to 6 day thing. So yeah. I'm getting into spoiler territory in this adventure for players. Yeah. I don't know when your first piece dropped, Artifact Sparrow, so it could be that you didn't get one in the first like hour that it that the event was live. But yeah, certainly like if you don't see one, because you should be getting one every 5 to 6 days, if you don't see that happen, you know, a week goes by and you don't get one, just open a ticket and be like, hey, can you check this? Because it could be something on our end. Who knows? Cozy, why would you save up gems? Because I'm lazy. I don't feel like buying a crap ton of gold chests and opening them all. Toastmaster, what was your first D&D character? Oh shit. I have to think about that. Offhand, I am not sure. What was my first character? I'm huge into casters, so it's much more likely that I picked some kind of wizard or caster or something. God, that was so long ago. I mentioned this on Dragon Plus a few weeks ago when I was on, because they ask everybody the story of, you know, where did you first connect with D&D? And like the first time I ever played D&D was in high school, but I didn't connect with it at the time. I played it with some friends. It didn't really grab me hugely. Might have been the friends, it might have been like context matters. I don't honestly remember what was going on at the time, but I just remember playing it and being like, eh. And it wasn't until after high school, when I was, living with a bunch of friends, they're in university, I was working at the time, that my roommates played D&D. And so I got into it with them. And so that was when I connected with it, because I had a great time. We were playing, we tried a bunch of different things. I remember doing an Eberron campaign with them that I really liked. And it was a blast. So that was when I first connected with it. The character for that one was it was a psionic of some kind, and I want to say it was a kineticist. Is that what it's called? I don't remember. It's like 15 years ago. I remember more what the character did, because the character was like, there was something wrong with them, and they were gradually unwinding, like becoming more and more unhinged, and were causing more and more problems for the party as we went on. So, yeah, I don't remember the name Toastmaster. Although there's always a chance that yeah, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna fail this and not show off the boss. Yeah, I made things explode. I was a huge jerk, that character. I was just being very difficult for people. Yeah, I changed my mind, everybody. I'm not gonna defeat the boss or show that off for people yet, because that's something that you get to enjoy when you play it. Oh crap! Yeah, I did use pots, didn't I, Candyman? Whoops. All right, well. Nope. No fairy. Very bad. Okay. But yeah, so the first character I remember is my Scion Toastmaster, who was started as chaotic good, but was like going down a dark path, because the more he realized his own power, the more he realized what he could do with his power, and it was corrupting him real quickly. Candyman, when does the start of Force Grey Season 3 happen? That is a very good question. So, I don't know. What I do know is, so we were at the Stream of Many Eyes, and they did an episode of Force Grey that had, obviously Matt Mercer was the DM, and then it had Joe Manganiello playing a Minotaur named Toro. It had, who else was on that? Ashley Johnson reprised her role as Dagny Halvor, I think it was. Kate Welch played Rosie. Matthew Lillard played Beetle, who is from his homebrew campaign, I believe. And then Deborah Ann Wall played Jamila. Jam. And it was awesome. But I have no idea if they're going to continue that season or not. It was a very interesting adventure, and there's lots of potential for it, but I don't know. We haven't heard any word, so. DC Backroads, can we get an update where a familiar can auto-stack Barrow buffs? No. Serendipity, do you only create characters that were previously created by Wizards of the Coast / THR / D&D? No. We've created a few characters that were in response to things that we needed, design-wise. So there aren't a lot of canonical monks. So we created both Stokey and Narak for the game. Zorbu, our gnome with an enormous crossbow in slot 12 that swaps with Arcan, that I don't know how many of you use, maybe none of you, was also created for the game. Grama, the turtle, was created for the game as part of Wizards of the Coast / D&D's Extra Life campaign last year, which was really funny timing for us, because like we came out with Grama for, what was the event? Liar's Night, maybe? I can't remember. But we came out with Grama, and then like not long after that, they did the Force Grey Season 2 finale, and Marisha Ray came on board to play a turtle. So we not only did we end up, because of that, not having one of the Force Grey Season 2 characters in the party, but it was a turtle. So that sucked for us. But yeah, we created Grama. Who else? I think that might be it. Stokey. Oh, and Krond. Yeah, we created Krond. Oops. OG17. Deacon's spawn buff is not affected by items, right? I don't believe so. I haven't unlocked him yet, so I haven't looked, but I am pretty sure we didn't do that. So, but I could be wrong. Oh, and apparently we have Chris Dupuis to thank for this janky event car wreck formation. It wasn't Justin actually who decided this one. Mac Haggis, status on Helm's Blessings. Nothing to announce. Tribal Stage. Any chatter in meetings of bringing the D&D cartoon characters into the game over time. So we get that request probably like once a month, give or take. I'm always amazed that people remember that cartoon, like, because it's not new. So obviously Wizards of the Coast does own them. They are characters that we technically could have. They would need some updating, both because obviously we can't have like adolescent children in fur bikinis fighting in our game, but also, like, you know, it's not 5e. It's very much a relic of another era of D&D that is not represented in the same way anymore. That's not really something that we do. So it is possible, but if that happened, there would be changes to those characters. Yeah. But yeah, we've talked about it before, and it's always something that could happen. Anywho, any other question? So I just noticed that we're getting favor from Asmodeus this time. This is like Cimmeril all over again. Well, I mean, you can't earn favor with any devil without technically in some way paying tribute to Asmodeus, because the leader of the Nine Hells is the leader of the Nine Hells. All souls pledged to the Nine Hells are pledged to him, as well as whomever you might have made a deal with. So yeah. Alrighty, so what's next? Oh, I know what's next. I believe we are doing our final raffle. And I'm pretty sure it's for a Pseudo Dragon DLC pack. So good luck. Yeah. It's pretty cool. How's my formation doing? Okay. Doesn't look like I'm going to get back to the end boss of this event before the end of the stream, since I have about 10 minutes left. So if anybody has any questions for me, feel free to shoot them. Otherwise, I'm just gonna chill here and talk a bit, and ramble, finish my soda. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Serendipity. Yes, I'm excited to get married. My fiance is awesome and makes me a better human. So, I am excited. Phil Z12. A while back, I gave a suggestion for a hero that had a grab and pull in special ability. Did anything come of that yet? Well, no, not yet. More pets of pet skins in the future. We will be doing more familiars. That's kind of a back burner discussion because of those major features that we want to release, but we will be doing more familiars. Manual turret. The winner of the raffle, like, the Moobot will announce it, and then Erica, who is currently on the Codename Entertainment account, will send you a private message on Twitch that you're the winner. So that's how. Ivanger 2. So is the memory leak fixed? Because if I keep the game open for too long, when I try to switch characters, the game freezes for a few seconds. I mean, I can't speak to your individual setup because I don't know. Sometimes one of the reasons that there's a bit of a freeze is because your game is loading assets or something, because it streams. But we've come so far with memory leak issues. Some of you have no idea. When we launched this game, powerhouse computers could run out of RAM. But these days it's become a lot more manageable, and we're just kind of like, we're always chipping away at it, trying to make improvements. If you're noticing some significant issues, please submit a support ticket and just be like, this is what's happening, describe it. But yeah, What's next? When the store updates, will it require the Steam overlay? I find it annoying to always have to enable it. It probably will, and that's kind of outside our control. You know, like even in AAA titles, for purchases using real money, it'll pull up the overlay to confirm authorizing the money for it or whatever. So, Serendipity, could you add Minsk's Boo as a familiar? No, because Boo is sitting on Minsk's shoulder right now. If you look at the character in-game and in his portrait, Boo is right there. And when Minsk does his ult, Boo is the one who jumps from enemy to enemy, debuffing them so that they take double damage before Minsk swings. So, Boo's already there. Any chance of getting Thibbledorf Puent? Well, there's always a chance. Count it. I know the art department cringes every time this is asked, but would it be possible to do a skin for characters that are maybe in full epic, or at least when you have all purples for that characters? Did I flinch there a little bit, maybe? Like kind of like what I mentioned earlier on the stream. I don't know if you were there. A full skin for a champion is the equivalent of creating a whole nother champion with the way that the game is designed, because everything's hand drawn. So they would literally have to hand draw a Naeli from scratch, you know, wearing all this stuff instead. So they basically have to make another Naeli. And then if we put the time in to do that for every character, like there was an epic version for each one, given the amount of time that it would take, because, you know, there's 28 characters now in the game, I think, they'd have to be reanimated and redone, because this isn't like a 3D model where you can drop something on it and use the same animation. You have to redo everything. We're talking like a couple of days per character, so that's like months of time in terms of human hours putting it together. We would have to charge for that. Like, there's no way that we could make it equitable for us to do that and have it be something that everybody unlocks for free. Yeah, it'd just be too much work. Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, it's always a possibility, but it is very much not something that's on our current agenda, just because it could be a crazy amount of work, and we definitely don't have room currently in our content schedule for it. Captain CRC, the best way to be informed of when an event starts is just to follow us on social. We post on, you know, Twitter first and foremost is our most active channel. The Discord is pretty active too, but if I'm on stream when the event goes out, either Erica will post it or it won't get posted right away until afterwards. Yeah. Ivanger, the characters are actually all wearing their rare gear, so everybody is equipped in a full set of their blues physically on their champion. Yeah. But yeah, as mentioned by Erica in chat, Twitter, Discord, best bets. Facebook, we also updated, and we do eventually get to Instagram, but people don't engage with us very much on Instagram, so it's like we're kind of like loath to spend too much time on it, because, you know, we prefer to be where our fans are, which tends to be the Discord most of the time. Limey Dog, do you personally do any D&D non-Wiz content? Read anything interesting lately? I'm not sure what you mean. Do you mean like, do we do anything for DM's Guild or something like that? Is that what you're asking, Limey Dog? I'm not quite sure where you're going with it. Aogain, can you post your event formation somewhere, maybe Twitter or Discord? I can. I mean, I don't have much of one right now. I'm just kind of plunking this together. Surely there will be some of our brilliant community members putting together a DPS optimal formation graphic somewhere. Garwar's guides are usually pretty good on the subreddit, which is just reddit.com/r/idlechampions. And if it's not highlighted yet with like a red tag, I'll put one on after the stream when I get to it. But that's usually a safe bet for finding that out. Alrighty, is there a character that maybe you have asked and been denied, or have not yet asked that you wanted to add? Let me think. Who would I like to add? There are some characters that I would love to add. I would love to see something like... I would like for it to be possible for us to have like Strahd von Zarovich as one of our characters, or just doing a formation with him or something. But like, that's not going to happen. Dude's a bad guy. Another character, I like characters like just thinking about Dragonlance, and obviously the chances of us adding a character from Kryn are like next to nothing. But you know, Race of the Magir has always been a character that I think is awesome and would love to add. There are a few really cool Forgotten Realms characters that I would love to see in the game, and if they do make it in the game, they may or may not be as champions, so I don't know how that'll play out, but yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want to have Elminster? Who wouldn't want to have Wolfgar? We are eventually going to add Wolfgar. Artemis and Trary, another super awesome character. You know, there are protagonists from a lot of books that would make for great characters in the game, but we shall see. Yeah. Giant Dwarf. Opinion. I think that a champion unlocked by a time gate with only 2 gold chests to gear them is a doom for failure. Is there any way for some means for silver chests to help make those 2 gold chests carry a bit more weight? So keep in mind, if you're looking at it specifically and only in the case of you're only trying to unlock and gear in a champion through a time gate, then sure, yeah, you can't get much. You're going to get 2 rares and maybe 4 slots worth of stuff out of those 2 chests. So if you're unlocking a fresh champion and opening 2 chests, they're probably not viable to switch into your party right now unless they're Barrowan. But that's the only way to unlock an event champion outside an event. It is not currently the only way to gear an event champion. Like, excluding playing their events, we do weekend promos. So that's a thing that allows you to earn equipment for them. And there will be other ways. Some of which we were hoping to have ready to launch when the feature came out, but it wasn't. We prefer to do something right. But yeah, I don't think it's doomed for failure. I think that, you know, we wanted to offer a way for somebody to unlock an event champion they may have missed, and it's there now, and they don't have to pay for it. And yes, you can get a couple more chests. So no, you are not getting gold chests through time gates specifically at a rate in which to compete with the rate at which you could grind out normal gold chests for your core champions. But also, event chests are focused specifically on one character, and you know, normal gold chests get you loot for 14 characters right now, so you have no control over which one of them is getting better. So, you know, it's an in-progress system. It is not the final be-all, end-all solution to, you know, unlocking gear and gearing characters outside of events. It's one of the ways to incorporate that in. So I don't agree that it's doomed for failure, but you know, I could see that people are wanting more from it. But yeah, and don't forget blacksmithing contracts, you know, which are an amazing way to gear up a character. Although they are not as available as people would like, so you know, I get that. There's definitely some fair criticisms for the whole thing, but I think we've made massive strides. So yeah. Anyways, if there's nothing else, because it's getting close to the 5 to the hour when I need to shut this down. First of all, I hope everybody enjoys Deacon. I think that the way that he is built is going to make him usable for everybody, no matter his gear level, for at least part of their adventure, and then depending on their equipment, possibly usable right to the end, maybe not. It really depends on how well geared your Bruner is, but it's very cool. And yeah, enjoy Founders Day, and I'm eager to see this end boss event, because it's a very cool character that I personally was very surprised to see in our game. Drawn by Kat, that one actually. Michelle did most of our monsters, but Kat is actually the one who did the end boss of this event. But yeah, first, so yeah, that's kind of, you know, that's our show for July 5th. Thank you so much for watching the stream. Just a reminder / heads up that I will not be around for the next couple weeks as I am off to get hitched. However, Chris Dupuis, known as Game Guru Chris on Twitter, will be taking over for me while I'm away, so be mostly nice to him, mostly. And thanks to Alexis for joining us on the stream to talk about designing Deacon. You know, she's very, very busy. Shout outs to Pelham, Bart, Greg, and John at Wizards of the Coast for being awesome partners and everything that you do to help us. It is truly appreciated. And a personal, huge, important thank you out to Erica, who co-produces this live stream with me and makes sure that I don't miss anything. She is absolutely essential to making this work. And then obviously everybody else at Codename Entertainment who, you know, busted their asses to get Founders Day out and have it go live during the stream. So yeah, Waffle Talk comes up next at 4. After that is Critical Role at 7. Should be interesting to see who is or isn't there, considering there's a new baby. Have a wonderful weekend, champions, and I will see you the end of the month. So yeah, take care.